Law of sines will be the next thing that we learn after doing the right triangle trig. And we use this when you don't have a right triangle. Not every triangle you deal with is a right triangle. So with that in mind, the formula for law of sines is sine of angle A divided by the length of side A is equal to sine of angle B divided by the length of side B. So when you're looking at any triangle that you have, okay, if we label this A, angle B, angle C, this is side A again, side B, side C, that again you have angle A, angle A. So sine of angle A divided by side A is equal to sine of angle B divided by side B. We can extend this by saying sine of angle C divided by side C is the same thing as saying sine of angle B divided by side B. And you can also say sine of angle C divided by side C is equal to sine of angle A divided by side A. Okay? And what you have here is you have a proportion. So keep in mind that when you have a proportion, you're going to use cross multiplication. All right? So proportion, cross multiplication. Going to come in handy. One question that's always asked is, where does the formula for the law of sines come from? It's got to come from somewhere. So look at this triangle, and we're going to label angles E, F, G, and we have side lengths lowercase e, lowercase f, lowercase g. Now, I'm telling you that this is not a right triangle. We can go by the visual, it's not a right triangle, but what we can do is draw an altitude here. So we can draw this altitude. When you draw the altitude, you know that what it does is it's perpendicular to the base. Since this is not equilateral, do not assume that it bisects it. It will only bisect it if it was an equilateral triangle. We have no clue what this is, so the only assumption we can make is that the altitude is perpendicular to the base EF. So we can look at this right triangle right here. I'm going to look at that one. And what we can do is write down some formulas that we know. So if we use angle G right here, we know that sine of angle G is equal to, let's call this H for height, is equal to the height over the hypotenuse, which is E. And if we want to solve for the height, H, well, we can take both sides and we can multiply by E, side E. Those cancel, and now we get E times sine of G is equal to the height. Makes perfect sense. Well, we can also continue on and we can say, you know what? We can do this angle over here, angle E. So angle E, we can say is sine of angle E is equal to the opposite, which is H, over side G, little g. We follow the same reasoning by multiplying both sides by G, and you're going to end up with G sine E is equal to H. Well, H, the H down here, the H here, and this H are identical. So guess what? We can now say E sine of angle G is equal to G sine of angle E. Okay. So we have that formula right there. Well, we can take it one step further and say, you know what? I want to get sine of G on one side by dividing both sides by E. That's going to give us sine of angle G is equal to G sine of angle E over E. Well, guess what? I can then divide by E. I meant G, excuse me. G. Okay, so those cancel out. And what I end up with now is sine of G, angle G, divided by psi G is equal to sine of angle E divided by psi D. No different than on the first slide where I told you that sine of angle A over side A is equal to sine of angle B over side B. We're just using here different letters. That's it, just different letters here based on our triangle up here. That's where the formula for law of sines comes from.